Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you? Then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum. Now, we're currently joined by a few people in both the Hangouts and Discord server, so I'll raise the mic on them and you can enjoy the dulcet tones of whoever the hell is in there while I set up for the first live show.
I like inspiring philosophy because he does. He looks at it from a philosophical, but he also looks at it from evidential. The scientific. Well, supposedly scientific. I use that term very loosely, but he tries to show the current understanding. Which is really good.
Hey, 10th man.
Good morning.
Hey.
I beat you in today, 10th man. Yep.
Yeah. All of you said we're going to wake up before 10th man. So what's the occasion?
Okay, Anthony, I just dropped it.
So what's the special occasion for the... Oh.
Special occasion for starting early?
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw Link jump in before it normally jumps in. I'm not sure.
It's because it's a Friday, so the live show actually goes out on the second channel, but what we're recording now, goes out on the main channel. So technically speaking, this rather slow conversation is critically important for the success of this video. Just to change the subject. Just to change the subject slightly. So, Anthony, you there?
Yeah.
Do you watch Validation Boy?
Do I watch who?
Validation Boy, VB.
Is he someone on the Gem Panda server?
No, Validation Boy's a flat earther. I've mentioned him before.
I know you've mentioned him before, but I've only ever seen him once or twice with Jeremy. But I don't really know him. I know of him, but I don't know him.
Oh, okay.
Why?
That slightly tarnishes the point. Okay, well, Validation Boy's made a video in the aftermath of Patricia Steere leaving, and he points out that he made a video called Flat Earth Cutthroats quite a while back and detailed the reaction to that video. Then he went on to point out that you and Ranty are nicking his terms. So while I was watching it, my wife was next to him. I'm like, notice he doesn't mention my name. And I know why he doesn't mention my name, because I credit him. I'm like, the begging the question argument is Validation Boys. He was the first to point out that every argument for the globe starts with the presupposition of a globe. Well, that's worthy of credit, so I give it him. But I suspected that you don't watch him. But he's saying that you're nicking his terms. So, not a fan, don't watch him. But yeah, you're nicking his terms, apparently. Just thought I'd say.
Yeah, Validation Boy, if you're listening. I know of you, but I don't watch any of your videos. I thought you were a baller. I saw you on Gem Panda's Sunday night roast. I think it was one of his shows. And he greeted you as though he was your long-lost buddy. And I presumed, based on your greeting by Gem Panda, that you were actually a ball earther. That shows how little I watch your work. No offense. I'm sure you're a really nice guy, but I haven't stolen any of your terms.
Just don't do it again, Anthony.
I'd like to know what did he say what terms he's referring to?
I can't remember. I was getting ready to take the car in to get an MOT and then walk back, which is a pain. My wife's car's quite heavily tuned up. She likes driving fast, and as a consequence of that, whenever it goes in for an MOT, they say, yeah, it's over the top on emissions, because we inevitably forget to drive it at 100 miles an hour to blow out all the crap and stop the emissions being really high. So I'm like, yeah, no worries. Can you book it in for a retest? So I was rushing out the door when I was watching Validation Boy and sorting things out with my wife. So I caught the general gist of it, but now I don't know the specifics. You'll have to go and watch it. I'll send you a link. Obviously, you not being subscribed to him.
Sorry, Validation Boy. Not guilty on this occasion.
Well, that kind of draws a very quick conclusion to that conversation. I was hoping that would go on for 5-10 minutes as we discuss Validation. I like Validation Boy. I mean, he's a complete wanker, and he probably knows it. But he'd call himself the Flat Earth conservative. Yeah, Flat Earth conservative. And his general approach to this from early on was to say most of the people who find this information out aren't worthy of it. In other words, it's special, and it should be kept to the people who can actually figure out what's going on. With some degree of intelligence, rather than just every Joe that comes across or stumbles across the information and happens to accept it. So that was his general rhetoric, and his current rhetoric is to say, what's people like Patricia ever really done for Flat Earth? And they've gone on to shows that have made us look bad. Well, in some respect I agree with him, but on the other hand, Patricia's my mate. I'll defend her for that reason. Sod off, Validation Boy, leave her alone, she's gone. What more do you want?
A far more interesting topic on hand, though. Did you see the Steve McRae, Kyle, whatever his name is, thing on?
I did.
Russian Vids?
I saw it on Russian Vids. Yeah, that gave me a lot of amusement.
No, I wouldn't normally watch like a 40-minute video on baller stuff, but because it's the topic it was, I wanted to watch it. And I don't know what you guys think, but it seems that Kyle is doing the shady on Steve, and he's not giving him his 50-50, right?
Well, his argument is to say that when they agreed to split the work, it was agreed, from what I gather from that little short 40-minute video, that he was there because he's good at graphics and music and all those sorts of things, and Steve was there because he's good at being a personality and gathering guests. In other words, they've got different attributes that make a team. That's what a team is. It's not just one thing, it's a combination of more than one thing that makes you more successful as a result. Well, his attitude is to say, yeah, but without the graphics and music... It's like, what? Really? Okay. I'm glad I'm not in partnership with anybody for exactly these reasons, because that's what happens. Somebody says, yeah, but without my skill. It's like, yeah, but what about, I can't believe I'm defending Steve McRae, but what about without Steve McRae's skill? What about without him gathering up the guests, without him being the face of the show? I thought it was his show.
Let's be honest, without Steve McRae, right, I might have been able to present my evidence to support why the Earth might not be a sphere. Because of Steve, I didn't get to present it, and Rumpus was declared victorious.
No. This is not a levelling of criticism in terms of Steve's showmanship, debating skills, or moderation skills. That's not what this is about. This is purely about how it worked out, or is currently in the means of falling apart, let's be honest, based on A, money, and the non-division of it based on a handshake agreement that's been reneged on, as far as I can tell. For whatever reason, Tim Osmond's alluding to it being because of a tax dodge, something like Steve McRae's on the disability allowance and he can't declare it, so he's got to have it as gratuity, or I don't know whether or not that's true, that's just Tim Osmond's spin on it. I didn't get that from the 40-minute video Russian Vids released. So, whether or not that's true, I don't know. Why it wouldn't just be the case that he'd just get, the money to him as any other business venture, you just get half if you agreed to half, right? But for some reason, Kyle's in a position to say, nah, I don't know why. Maybe it is because he's on the dodge. Maybe Spurs knows. Hey, Spurs.
The thing is, though, even if he is on the dodge, I don't see how that would preclude him from giving him this 50-50. If it's 50-50, that's the agreement. Kyle, give the man his 50-50. Whether he does something dodgy with that or not, it's none of your business.
Well, he's saying you haven't done half the work. Now, Red Rhetoric's attitude, while he's sorting out this little tiff on this extremely neutral platform he keeps talking about, so while he's moderating these two idiots, he's basically saying, look, you have agreed to give him 50%, and Kyle's attitude was to say he doesn't do half the work. Red Rhetoric's attitude, well, you haven't told him he's not doing half the work, you've just took it upon yourself and are now using that as an excuse, which is totally unreasonable. If someone's not pulling their weight, you tell them. You don't take on their workload and then kick them out.
I think the falling out happened because of direction, the direction of the show. Kyle wanted to take it down the identity, the SJW, with Shannon, that direction.
What does SJW mean?
Social
Justice Warrior. So Steve wanted to take it down more of the intellectual discussions. and that's where they clashed. You see, so Kyle's like that younger, vibrant, wants to bring the new ideas to the world, as you can see, and Steve just wants to keep it very professional, so to speak. Same thing happened with Dal and Marshall. Same thing. Dal wanted to go one direction. Marshall wanted to go in a different direction, have a show, and they parted ways. So, yeah, this is down to ideas, I think. Not obviously.
Even so, though, surely, regardless of the ideas, the work, because I'm pretty sure I heard Steve say the words, "I've not seen any of the money since it's been running." Did he say that?
Yeah, but Kyle says he's got a lump sum for Steve, but Steve doesn't want that lump sum. He wants payments gradually over time, because that channel is going to grow, isn't it? So obviously he gets 50,000, 60,000 subscribers, whatever.
I don't think that. Give him his money. If the deal's 50-50 and they've got a handshake on it, give him the 50-50.
Why?
If I had a handshake,
Hold on. You can pass. I'm more than happy for you to pass judgment on the situation. Why are you making demands? It's none of your business. We can discuss it. We're nosy sods, right? It's good gossip. But why would you be in a position to say, give him his money? You're not the arbiter of this.
No, but we're trying to find out who's right, and who's in the right, who's in the wrong.
Spurs. I want to know Anthony's justified reason for saying that.
Here's the thing. I heard Red's Rhetoric ask Kyle, is the deal 50-50 or not? Is that the deal? And he said, well, it is, but yeah, but, and then started stuttering like Rumpus does. And that was the bit where I thought, he's entitled to it. Give him his money.
Obviously, like I say, it depends how good of friends they were. It depends. Obviously, Kyle didn't see Steve. He befriended him. Steve thought Kyle was the future of the channel, gave him the keys to the car and said, drive it for a while. Now Kyle's saying, well, I'm keeping this car, and you're not getting back in. And for me, it's very simple. Kyle wants to take that show in a direction, which is why he brought Shannon Q.
That's not even the point, though, Spurs. The point is, what's the agreement between the two people? If it's 50-50, it's 50-50, whichever direction it goes.
Just correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony. Isn't there a laid out system with structures and buildings that deals with this sort of thing?
Yeah, it's called the Partnership of 1890 in the UK. And if it's not written down, there's a template that we have already to predefine these things where there are disagreements that are not written down. Partnership Act 1890. But in America, it might not be the case. I wouldn't know in America, but I think that ultimately the word is the bond, in it. And if they've agreed 50-50 and it's clear that they did, then that's what they should be given.
Sure, but what I'm saying is, upon that bond being created, if there's a disagreement after the fact, there is a place you can go and a man or woman you can see who makes a judgment on that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What would that place be called?
Court.
It'd be called a non-sex show, wouldn't it?
A court. That's right. So, here's the solution, Steve. You sue him. Simple.
Well, he can, but Kyle said, sue me. And Kyle knows the position he's in, that he's removed all the managers from YouTube. So basically, Kyle owns the channel. It's in his name. And Steve would lose money trying to fight this. To get what? $20,000, $30,000. That's what he's owed.
But he doesn't even need to do that. I don't know how it works in America, but at the end of the day, it's not difficult.
Well, no, I could tell you how it works in America. The 50-50 rule was changed recently due to George Musser. It says it's 50-50. However, you can think of it as 70-30.
Yeah.
Never gets old.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, that's right, Steve. Now, you can think of it as 50-50, but really it's 70-30.
Absolutely. You hate that, won't it? Yeah, absolutely. But for me, the show is more Kyle's, the face of Kyle. Like he was trying to explain, it's the face, it's the look, it's the feel. Steve, when he was there, was
That's bollocks. If they've agreed 50-50, it don't matter if he does nothing. Who cares?
I agree.
Doesn't matter if he doesn't lift a finger.
Yeah, but they're not friends like that, are they? To make that kind of deal.
It's a business venture.
Yeah.
So you need a contract.
Well,
right,
they've
and
agreed
apparently they've got one written down. That's what I gathered. It's been written down, agreed upon. Well,
No, just a verbal contract.
Yeah, but verbal contracts are still enforceable.
No,
No.
he said I got it. Steve McRae said I've got it in writing. I heard him say that.
Well, maybe he does have it in writing, but in any event, even if it isn't written down, it's still, verbal contracts are still actionable, right? In English
Agreed.
law.
Anthony, if I say to you, if I win the lottery, I'm going to give you half. I win the lottery and I don't give you half. What? You can take me to court?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a difference, though, isn't it? I haven't provided my work in favour of that resolution, though, have I?
No,
But
if you lend me £1 to buy a ticket.
If me and you had a channel between us, right, and we were working together to do whatever program, and then I weren't getting my money, and I thought you were like sneaking it behind me back. What do you think's going to happen? It's not going to be long before we fall out, is it?
Yeah, but I wouldn't do that. That's what I'm trying to say. They're not friends like that.
It's not relevant. It's not relevant. This is a business venture, and if it's gone sour, and there's a disagreement about what should or shouldn't be paid to either party, there is a person they can go to who can make those. It doesn't even cost a great deal of money to do so.
Let's be honest.
If they're not friends, then how can they have that trust? They need something written. Because it doesn't matter what they say. Carl can just do what he did, which was, no, Steve, say what you want, do what you want. You know, I don't care what you think. Do me if you need.
It's got a recording there, hasn't he? Steve's obviously.
Carl said, in fact, you know what, Steve? What I'm going to do right now? I'm going to remove you and Reds and everybody from, access. He said, I'm going to do it right now, and he did it.
But that doesn't change the fact that there's still an agreement in place that they both agree with the term was 50-50.
Kyle is out of order. Yeah, Kyle is wrong for...
Give the guy his money. What he does with that money is none of Kyle's business. It's none of anybody's business. If he's entitled to 50-50, he's entitled to 50-50.
But that's the point, Anthony. If there was an agreement in place, it would be in writing.
Yeah,
not necessarily.
Not verbal, Anthony. Come on, not verbal. People can't just say, oh, I'll give you half, and then the channel's successful. And then
Kyle agreed it was half. It was 50-50.
Hold on. Hold on. I've got to interject again. No, Anthony's already said that. Yeah, he can. A verbal agreement does still create a bond. That's not true, Spurs.
How does it? Where in law does it say that?
In English law, it's in the Partnership Act. You don't have to have a written partnership agreement to have a partnership. And that's what it is. I'm not saying it's the case in America, but it is the case in England. You do not need to have.
If we have agreement, Anthony, and I say, or you say 50-50 verbally, you don't have to honour that, do you?
Look at section. Look at section 1 of the Partnership Act.
Yeah. A man is as good as his word. Spurs, are you having me on? If I make an agreement with somebody,
that happens all the time. People make
Spurs. If I make an agreement with somebody, I would expect to stick to my side of the agreement and them to stick to theirs, even without a contract. Now, if they come along after the fact and start imposing terms, you can choose whether or not you want to agree with those terms. But then if they keep coming back and imposing new terms, that's the point that you either get a written contract because new terms are being imposed, or you write off the old contract by drawing it to a conclusion. In other words, if there's any outstanding debts based on the original agreement, you settle them. Now, that was what was discussed, and Carl said no, which I just thought was quite funny.
Yeah. Well, I think that was Steve's mistake, right? Because he went public before saying to Carl, all right, you're changing things, let's write something out. He was just like, give him my money, Kyle, give him my money. You owe my money for my daughter and all of these things. And Kyle's just like, no, you're not having anything.
So Anthony, with English law like that, I'm just curious. When people get married and make a vow to each other, and then one partner wants to get a divorce or leave for another man or another woman, well, how does that verbal agreement work in the marriage situation?
That's not verbal.
It's a contract.
That's a contract.
You have to go to the registry office and sign.
So forget about marriage. Marriage is it's not the same. Look at this, Spurs. Can you see my screen?
Let's have a look.
If this disagreement was in England, right? Let's just say it weren't Kyle and Steve, and it was me and Nathan, right?
Yeah.
This is the law that would prevail, and you can interpret this any way you want to, and that's where you would make your representations in court to support your position. Partnership of 1890, Section 1, definition of partnership. Partnership is the relation which subsists between persons carrying on a business in common with a view to profit. And they're clearly doing that, right?
Yeah.
Next provision. The rules for determining the existence of a partnership. Joint tenancy, this is to do with property, we can ignore that. The sharing of gross returns does not itself create a partnership. Whether the persons sharing such returns have or have not a joint or common right of interest in any property from which or from the use of which the returns are derived. So again, property, I think this is talking about real estate. The receipt by a person of a share of the profits of a business is prima facie evidence that he is a partner in the business.
No, it's the agreement terms.
So hold on, Spurs. So what that's saying, if I'm right, Anthony, is that if for the sake of argument, you and I have a partnership and we agree 50-50, and then every bit of work comes out of here, my property, that makes no difference to the agreement in terms of how the business partnership works. It doesn't matter that the property it's been worked from is mine. That makes no difference.
Yeah. It's all to do with what the agreement was.
Yeah.
Persons who have entered into a partnership with one another are, for the purposes of this act, collectively called a firm, and the name under which their business is carried on is called the third name.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see the next provision. Entry of partner to bind the firm. So in other words, me or Nathan will be able to bind each other to agreements. Partners are bound by acts on behalf of the firm.
Problem is, though, YouTube can only have one name on the owner.
That doesn't matter.
So
It doesn't matter. That's YouTube's internal thing. The law pervades over YouTube, doesn't it?
Right.
So even the name of the channel.
But that's the contract, though, Anthony. If the court says, "Well, whose name's on the contract of that channel?" Kyle will be like, "Me."
No, that's not the governing
That's not a
criteria.
contract. No. We're talking about agreement between two parties. Nothing to do with YouTube. The fact that the money comes from that source, even if Kyle does 100% of the work, is irrelevant. We're talking about the agreement between two parties. Those two parties are Steve and Kyle. Sod all to do with YouTube, but for the fact that it's generating the cash that they're arguing about. The agreement.
Yeah, but any money that Kyle makes in his life half of it goes to Steve.
No.
Yeah.
No.
What do you mean,
Within
yeah,
the
no?
no. Hold
on.
on. No. Within the terms of their agreement. So if their agreement is that 50% of that channel's revenue goes to Steve, then that is the terms of the agreement forever until it gets changed.
What's stopping Steve saying that what Kyle said? If someone makes an agreement and says, "Well, he said this," they could say, "I didn't say that." He could say, "I told him he could only
that's
get
already
this."
dealt with. That's already dealt with. Steve covertly recorded him saying it, so that's not an issue.
Hey, Anthony, look up the word property. I bet it be.
Again, I think this. They could just say they were acting. That was a role. That wasn't. That was just a practice run. They need a signature. I would have thought.
No, they don't. They've got a verbal agreement is a bond, and he's even got proof of that verbal agreement by showing the discussion about the verbal agreement and the other party agreeing that that's what they agreed to. It's cut and dry in that regard. There has been an agreement. It's public. There's no way there's going to be any getting around that. I can assure you, Spurs. They don't need a contract. It's verbal. It's been discussed as verbal. It's been iterated as being what the contract was. Now, verbal or otherwise, that's the agreement. It doesn't matter, Spurs. I'm sorry.
How far can this? Oh, I know. It's interesting. How far can this? Can that bond or verbal agreement? If someone says they're going to provide you with something, and they don't provide you with something, does this have to be monetary, or is it just any agreement?
It could be in kind. It could be work related. It doesn't have to be necessarily financial. You can make an agreement that someone will fix your roof, in return for you fixing their engine. That would be an agreement. It doesn't have to necessarily be financial. It could be in terms of the amount of work. So in this case, the actual work that's being discussed isn't necessarily financially detrimental to either party because it's their time and effort and expertise that they're putting in. Right. But the end result is money that comes from YouTube, which is what they're presumably arguing about in the first instance.
Mm-hmm. 50 grand, 50,000 American dollars. Is that what they're arguing over?
Again, that bit isn't that interesting to me either. It's more interesting about what the parties agreed to. That bit's made clear, and who's the weasel and who isn't. But But ultimately, like I said earlier, Steve should just sue him. If they have an agreement, he's got proof of it. Just sue him. Simple.
He says it's $4,000 a month, so he doesn't want Kyle to have that funds. So YouTube is obviously non-sequitur, is bringing in is a cash cow. But I can't see that channel progressing unless, say, for example, they sort out their differences. Because now, if Steve just makes Kyle look bad, or each other, well, again, it could be positive. Time will tell. But I think the Flat Earthers is what made that show, right? Because that's
who cares? I'm just interested in who's like Nathan said, which one's the weasel?
Well, obviously it's Kyle, isn't it? Because they made an agreement. Kyle's broken that agreement. Steve wants his money, and it's pretty normal. Kyle's just saying, "Look, it's mine. I'm taking the channel. I'm taking over." That's not right, is it?
No, it's not right. However, you are able to end the partnership there and then. You can do that. Either partner can do that, but then they've got to divide all the assets equally because that's what the agreement was. So really, if he cuts him out the loop, he's still entitled to half the income from that, half the profits and everything. Like however much money. That's why he's asking for the accounts, isn't it? He wants to know how much he's entitled to. He's entitled to half. Give him half.
Insane. Right, let's make a quick cuppa.
Well, that made the Earth more flatter, that conversation.
No, yeah, okay, it's unrelated to Flat Earth, but it's a show that deals with the subject, so it's kind of on topic, and it's interesting.
It is interesting, yeah.
There's a soap opera called As the World Turns. Maybe it should fall under that topic.
Yeah, it is. I'm not going to disagree with you, 10th Man. This is just drama. It's just soap opera. I agree. You're not wrong.
Anyway, you keep seeing these. Every time I scan the internet, I keep seeing the powers to be, whoever they are, keep throwing up fantasy space and globe and aliens. They're just working overtime.
Be sure to watch my Chris Hatfield ad, which will inevitably play before this show.
Okay.
It was quite funny in Discord with all the ballers this morning. They were all arguing for Flat Earth, like curved, all of the main ones in there. And they were really convincing, really going for it. There was like a new ball earther in there. And he didn't know that they were not, joking or something. If they hadn't said anything, they would have, because he was going, oh, how can you believe, And the ball earthers were really going at it like, yeah, we have, there's no proof of a globe. Saying basically what we were saying. But I think they're coming around slowly.
That's interesting. Even though they would just say, no, it was just a role play. Well, that's how you rewire your cognition. You play it out. So, yeah, you might be right, Spurs.
Yeah. I mean, I should have recorded it. It was amazing. All of the whole room, apart from the one guy, I think it's like that D guy, he didn't know what was going on. They were just all playing it all out. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't believe what I was listening to. But, yeah, they're slowly coming around. It's an easy, for me, it's just an easy subject.
What do you mean slowly coming around?
The fact that they're entertaining the argument and they were being flat earthers, like you would not believe how they were acting. Like saying,
were they mocking? Were they mocking us?
No, they were very serious. I don't know if they were bored. I don't know what this, but they were all the ball earthers was coming from a flat Earth perspective. They were, and the one baller in there, D20. He was like, he didn't know they were role playing, so to speak, and all of them together, like they were all like, no, you've got no proof. I mean, like 4, 5, 6 of the ball earth were like, no, you're just indoctrinated, and that ball earth. So it really is about peer pressure and things like that. He could have cracked if this had continued because he just felt alone.
Well, what makes it peer pressure, Spurs?
What makes it peer pressure? People want to be smart, clever, wise, intelligent, be the best of the best. Especially in America, they've taught this idea of being the best of the best of the best, sir. So, this bullying, ridicule thing, for me, I mean, it happens here in England too, yeah. But I'm just saying that they kind of idolize it in America. And, it's trying to be the best of the best, sir. And that's the mentality that a lot of Americans bring, is that we know it all, we understand it. I'm not saying that you, because obviously it's not everybody, but the majority in that room, bring that atmosphere of, you're a moron and you better listen to us, or that's why I find it interesting.
Well, isn't that typical? If you grow up and you don't take a stand on absolute truth of any type in any context, then that meant that as you were growing up, you followed the crowd. So now as an adult, you're following the crowd. Whereas I remember, growing up, I would argue with people about obvious things. And sometimes I'd be the lone man arguing. And I'd say, but wait a minute, it's right here. And of course, I'd have 3, maybe 5 people against me arguing the opposite side. But I didn't cave into peer pressure because I looked at what was in front of me. And it was, in a sense, apart from any of our opinions, it was what it was. It presented whatever it was, presented as it was. And I took a stand on it because it was like an absolute situation. So why are we surprised that ballers have this dilemma?
What do you mean, why? I mean, you understand how bullying works. You understand how propaganda works, right?
No.
What I don't understand you, 10th man, is that you
asked the question. You asked, what do you mean, why? And then you answered it. Now, are you asking that question for me, or are you talking to yourself?
Yeah, Spurs. Gone quiet because he's been told off.
I haven't told him off. I'm just trying to figure out when he says, what do you mean, why? I expected a pause so I can answer it.
Sorry, I tried to go to the kitchen.
What?
Don't worry about it. It's all good.
What I'm trying to say is that when you grow up all your life without taking a stance on things that you personally investigate, make sure of, and go against a crowd or not go against a crowd, it forms you into a kind of a person that follows the crowd.
Okay.
So when you follow the crowd, you're swayed by every wind of doctrine, every movement of this or that. But when you, growing up, have shown to yourself that you only follow things to be true, introspection, validation, then it doesn't matter if it's you against 100. It doesn't matter because you're not swayed by it. So we have a society that has watched the boob tube, has allowed others to think for themselves. And so wherever the crowd is, that's where the so-called pseudo-truth is. Instead of, when I'm talking to them about flat earth specifically, I say, look, I'm going to talk to you about a subject, but I want you to think for yourself and not listen to the crowd, not listen to all the propaganda, all the conditioning, because we've all been conditioned, but it didn't affect me when someone first said, hey, I think the earth is flat after all. I said, wait a minute, I've always thought that.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I investigated it because I always have thought that. I never bought into all this crap, but it was like, who talks about it to make it relevant all these years? Nobody until flat earth.
How long have you been a flat earther, 10th man?
End of 2016. But I would say all my life, because inside I never believed evolution.
How
I never
long have you been
believed in it.
debating flat earth or discussing it with other people?
I'm sorry, I was talking. I didn't hear the second question.
So I'm just like, how long have you been discussing it with other people? Flat earth?
The minute I saw that it was relevant, I started discussing it with my wife, my children. They all are flat earthers now because I said, look at the proof. And they looked at the proof. They said, you're right.
Okay.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Spurs Chemo, 10th Man, and Sleeping Warrior. Very good to have you all.
Woo! Dude.
Don't forget Paul.
Oh, Paul, my bad. Sorry. How you doing, Paul?
Paul always.
Yeah, you forgot me the last few times I've jumped on here. Sorry.
I'm sorry. We have also got a few people in Discord that said I haven't actually put a new link. So the one from yesterday, I think, dies after 24 hours. So I'll put a new link out now. Hopefully we'll get a few people in the Discord server as well. Any signs of Earth curvature?
Still looking for it.
No.
Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No.
No.
Hey, Chocolate.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chuck.
Morning, good to have you. Any scientific
Thank
evidence
you,
of
thank you.
gravity?
No signs
No
of
gravity.
Gravity, what's that?
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No evidence for the distance.
Hold on, because this force.
What force?
Doesn't sit well with me that we have an object, whether it's made by man or not, it's moving. I haven't been told the cause of the movement. You've said man, but you said the other day, if a car or a plane were just parked up, and a gust of wind blew the car, made it, float, whatever, you said, well, that's the wind. That's the cause of the car moving. Now, this Cavendish, in fact, forget the word Cavendish. Two balls on a wire attracted to another two balls. What's the cause? This is what is troubling me, because I don't think that this
Hold on,
movement would happen.
Spurs. You can't ask a question, then go on and on and on and on and on about what's troubling you.
Sorry, God.
So, what's causing it? Well, first you establish what the effect is, and you're telling us the effect is balls that you string up attracting one another. Well, the effect that we're trying to find the cause of is balls being strung up, isn't it, Spurs? It's not something you're going out in nature and saying, oh, I wonder why this happens. It's only applicable in the setup that you've come to try and find as the effect. Well, the effect, balls you string up in a shed attracting one another, that's your dependent variable. Not some force. That's the dependent variable. That's what you're observing. Now, if you're saying, well, we don't observe it in nature, then this isn't in the realms of natural science. And therefore, I'm not interested in it. It's just some
Well, this is the thing, you see. Again, I understand how you're describing it. I appreciate how you're describing. But you've said already, if a car starts to float because of a
No, he didn't say that.
If because of a gust of wind, we know it's because of gust of wind. The car
No, we
didn't
don't.
float.
No, we
because
don't.
Man,
No, we don't. Spurs,
man-
Spurs, you're getting where you're just making these declarations left and right. Like, I agree with you. No, if you've got a phenomena, a car is being what you called levitated. Now, I appreciate that you're already saying that that's probably because of the wind, because we're in a bloody hurricane. But in order to establish that that is the cause of the effect, you then make a hypothesis, giving you the dependent variable, that would be your phenomena, things being levitated, and an independent variable, your presumed cause of that effect. Now, it's not that you're saying in a wind tunnel a car gets levitated. What causes that? Because that's what you're doing with the Cavendish experiment. You've created a situation with the balls themselves to create an effect. You've conjured the situation in the first instance. It's not like you're going out and just watching something levitate and then trying to figure out what's causing that. You've got something that's been constructed that creates an effect based on its construction. And then you're saying, what causes that? Well, but for the fact that you built it, it wouldn't be doing it.
I don't know if you've seen those. There's some stones or rocks in there. I'll have to have a look in a desert somewhere, and they just start to move, like randomly move. Scientists are like, "Oh, how are these bricks moving?"
Narnia.
No, this is a real place. This is a real place.
Yeah.
They start to move. Let me find
Where
it.
do we experience?
I'll come back to you. Let me find this
Yeah,
phenomenon.
it's due to the temperature differential. Yes, I know what you're talking about. The sliding rocks. Yeah,
Right,
that's
so
got
hold on, please. So my point is that you're establishing what is causing this, and I'm trying to find out. How have you done this? Have you just said
You're just not listening, Spurs. Spurs, you keep asking me for cause. Yeah? Now, cause can be adjudicated by a method. And the first step in that method is to establish what the phenomena is. That's it. You can't get past that stage. But you keep going, well, what's the cause? Of what? That's the first step. What are you establishing the cause of? Man-made balls going towards each other. Well, we know. Man made the balls. So we already know what caused that to happen. Spurs, every single time. This is really becoming frustrating. But
it is for me as well.
Yeah, because I'm giving you your answer and you're still talking. But for the fact that a man put that together, they would not be doing that. Now, if you can show me where they do that, and it doesn't include a man making something, then I'll accept it as a phenomena. But if you're going to continually say, look, the man-made stuff does something, I'm going to keep saying, yeah, you've got your cause in the description. The man-made stuff does that. It's not a natural phenomena.
Can I respond? Because I hear what you're saying, but it's like you're missing my point, okay? We have a football. It's created, designed by man. The cause of this ball is man. Man created the ball, what we see, okay? But if that ball starts to move by the wind, electric, rain, whatever, you can't say man caused that ball to move. Because man didn't cause the ball. It had another effect from somewhere else. Something else caused that ball to move. Just like you explained to me with the rocks, the sliding rocks. Something else, like man could make bricks, put those bricks next to those bricks. They would move, not as a result of man.
Okay, Spurs. Okay, but that could equally apply to a leaf, couldn't it? It doesn't have to be. It doesn't specifically only apply to a ball, does it? Whereas this force you're claiming is only ever exampled in your football. Oh my bad, the Cavendish quote-unquote experiment. So there's no other examples like a leaf suddenly moving, like the ball suddenly starts moving. There's no examples of mass attracting mass outside of the contraption, Spurs. There's no equivalent that you can give me like the football. Because when I try and give the example or debunk your nonsense, you'll talk over me because you're basically a baller now, aren't you? I'm not allowed to make a conclusion.
I'm a ball earther. I'm looking at all of the options.
I'm still in the middle of an explanation. I'm still in the middle of it, and you're talking. So yeah, you are basically a baller because you're obfuscating my point.
I argue.
But why aren't you letting me? Now you're obfuscating, talking about this rather than just letting me make my point. I don't get it. Yeah. My point being that you can't give an equivalent. I can say leaf moves like ball. You can't say those balls out there are attracting one another. No, you can't give me an equivalent, Spurs. It only happens in the apparatus.
Nathan, can I interject a thought here? But I need clarification on something. The torsion bars that are attached to the ball in the shed, in the so-called Cavendish experiment, the so-called experiment, are they sensitive torsion bars? Like, how sensitive are they, would you say?
They're very, very sensitive. What's your point, James, man?
My point is this. I just typed in earthquakes in Southern California near LA. 8 earthquakes in the past 24 hours, 82 earthquakes in the past 7 days, 411 in the past 30 days. I live in Southern California. I didn't feel any of them, but something sensitive might.
Yeah, it could detect all sorts of other things, but that isn't where I debunk it though, 10th Man. Because you're into looking at what it does. And why is it doing it? Because a man made it to do that. It's not that he came across a phenomena and needed to explain it. They just built the example and then extrapolated out of the weight of the Earth from it. That's what it was primarily designed to do, give you the mass of Earth. That's what its purpose is. Bullshit. That's not giving you the weight of Earth. Just nonsense. The extrapolation, the mathematical derivative from it, isn't actually coming from Cavendish or Reverend John Mitchell. You know, this whole narrative is just strung together by the people we argue with. It's all irrelevant because they don't have a natural phenomena. So, all of this, well, how sensitive is it? What, the man-made phenomena?
Right. But that wasn't for us who understand what you said. That's for Spurs who won't take that as an unnatural thing and apply a natural scientific method to it. I'm trying to tell him it could be many things, but it's not what they say it is because you don't observe it in nature.
What?
Who cares what it is? Who cares what made it move? We know it's not true because we don't see nature that way.
Yeah, but I'm not. I'm just looking for an answer of what is the cause. Nathan's saying man, and
Again,
well,
happened again.
Rocks
Completely
moving.
Completely ignored me. So I've said it. I'll say it again. Spurs, let's see if you listen rather than talk over me. You're going straight to what's causing it. Well, the method dictates that you first establish what the effect is. Yeah, and the effect in this instance is a man-made device, not something we're observing in nature. So you keep asking for the effect. Step 1 is establish the cause. Sorry, other way around. You keep asking for the cause. Step 1 is establish the effect. Dependent variable, effect. Step 1, observe a phenomena. Well, if
I
step
have a
1...
phenomena here. I'm showing you my screen. A
It
phenomena
keeps doing it
being
every
moved.
single time.
You know what that is,
Now Arwen's going to pipe up.
Don't tell me what you know what it is. Have you done an experiment to show why these things are moving?
Yeah, I can do that for you.
Oh, God.
It's a matter of isolating the
Oh,
independent
God. I do
variable.
not believe this. I want to make my point. I want to make my point, not have an offside discussion about it. The point will never change. You keep asking me to give you a cause of an effect that's made by man. Step 1, observe natural phenomena. That's the end of the argument. You're saying, I need an explanation for this experiment. The experiment's step 3. Step 1, find out what the phenomena is. If step 1 is step 3, then it's pseudoscience. Because you don't have step 3 before you have step 1. So asking me to explain the experiment when we haven't got a phenomena yet is nonsense. Pseudoscience. That's where the argument ends. But if after I finish the statement, Spurs goes, I still need to explain what's causing it. What's causing the effect of a man-made phenomena? We're just going to keep doing this indefinitely, Spurs. This is the end of the argument.
How is that rock moved by people, or is this a natural thing?
Oh, no, Arwen. Oh,
dragging
yeah.
over?
Sorry, my bad, Arwen. Sorry. I didn't hear the end statement because I cut you off too soon. Yeah. Or is it a natural thing? Exactly, Arwen.
But it
Sorry.
could be. I've heard about it, that it basically, these traveling rocks, what makes them move is the wind. The wind kind of catches them, and then a natural form of turbulence-induced cymatics makes them slowly vibrate in a certain direction. So it's like a natural wind-caused crawling. It only happens on really big, wide-open, flat surfaces, just like this desert.
It gets really cold. Anyway.
Doesn't matter. The temperature
Who
doesn't
cares?
matter. It's
Who
about the
cares?
wind.
We're not talking
wind
about these rocks
vibrates.
sliding in one direction.
No cause, you see. Now we're arguing over a natural phenomena where we don't know how this is happening.
Who cares? Sorry, have you got a claim based on these sliding rock, Spurs?
Wind.
Do you have a claim
I think
based on
where-
these sliding
where is
rocks
nature?
or not? Or is this just a red herring? Because who cares? We're talking about Cavendish and the fact that it doesn't have a natural phenomena. It doesn't adhere to step 1 of the scientific method. It's already on step 3 when you start asking questions.
Look, Sporskimo, considering the rock, it has nothing to do with mass attracting mass. It's, to me, obviously a wind-induced phenomena, and you can isolate it. You take one of these rocks, you put a box over it, and you anchor it to the ground with pins. Then you take one of the other rocks, you leave it. You go there, you come back after half a year, and if the rock inside of the box has moved against the side of it, then there's something else going on. If it was exactly where you left it and the other rock has moved, then it's obviously caused by the wind.
Hypothesis, Arwin. Not we simply don't. So Nathan, I'm comparing this. Not again. I'm not calling it Cavendish.
So you're just ignoring it. What I just said?
No, it's a good idea, Arwin. Like again, it's a hypothesis that you would need to demonstrate, right? But I'm saying to Nathan is that forget the idea of mass attracting mass. The ball is moving. Now, I'm not saying it's because it's attracting. I'm saying that we have an object in nature that moves. We have an object in an experiment that moves, or so-called experiment. I just want to know what is the cause of that object, those two objects moving. That's all. That's it. You're saying man is for the Cavendish. Now we have in nature something moving. So how do we find that out then? What's the cause of that?
Well, you don't see it in nature. That's the point.
No, I didn't say mass attracting mass. I said ball moving. The ball was moving, not mass, just moving.
I understand, Spurs, but who built the shed?
Who built that desert?
No, why don't you answer my question?
What are you basically asking is what causes motion?
No, what caused the object in the desert to move?
I just told you.
Well, how did you know that? How do you know that?
Wind, because it happens, and you can deduce it from the layout of the area. And I've heard it before.
Why is this happening? Why are we equivocating? This is not the natural phenomena being studied in Cavendish. This is just some bullshit we're just discussing on the side. It's a red herring. This is meaningless. Who cares? Unless you've got a claim to make based on these sliding rocks. Who cares?
Right. It's not a related phenomenon.
Right. This is
sliding
a natural
rocks
phenomenon.
Yeah,
hold on. This is what a natural phenomenon looks like, Spurs. Yes, you're right. You've established what a natural phenomenon looks like. Something occurring in nature. Now show me mass attracting mass in nature.
I didn't say mass attracting mass.
No, they do. You keep asking me for the cause of something that claims mass attracts mass when you build a machine to attract mass. No, so you're asking me for that. What's the cause of it? What's the cause? What's the cause? You keep asking.
In all the ball earthers' rhetoric, I'm saying we just have a ball, we have a string, it starts to move. What's the cause? Did I push it? Did somebody blow on it? What happened?
Hold on. Do you want to show me that?
What, a Cavendish?
You've just said let's get away from Cavendish. Ball on string, it moves. Well,
where's your ball on the string in
Does it? Does it? Or are you just making this shit up?
No, I'm saying that's what the globe earthers.
I don't care. You've said let's get away from the globe earthers. Now you're immediately back on them, Spurs. You've just said let's get a string with a ball. It moves. Does it? Oh, really, Spurs? So we are just.
That's what I'm asking. Does it? Does it just?
You're making the example. You're asking me to make it for you now, like a typical baller. You want me to make this example for you? No. You've stated, Spurs. You string up a ball and it moves. Does it? Is my question. And your answer is, you tell me. What about your shit example? No, Spurs, mass never attracts mass.
I'm not asking you. That's the question we, as all of us, are trying to find. Not you, does it? I'm saying that's the aha. So we have a ball on string. They start to move.
Does it?
Saying, well,
does it?
That's my point, Nathan.
No, it's a question. You're making a statement.
What is your point?
You're making a statement. It moves. That's a statement. You're saying you've got a ball on a string, it just moves randomly of its own volition. And I'm saying, does it? And you go, well, that's what they say. That's what we've got to figure out. That's not my question. Does that happen? Can you show me that? Or is this just hypothetical shit you're making up, Spurs?
But I think you agree now then. Because you're saying it doesn't. Balls just don't move. That's what I was asking you from day one. Things do not just move.
How many times? Mass doesn't attract mass. It's not a natural phenomena. We never observe it. They don't have a dependent variable. They don't have a... How many times have I got to say it?
Yeah, but you're just going back to what I said initially. Things don't...
Spurs, yeah? This is really getting out of hand, bro. We don't see mass attracting mass in reality. It does not happen. So
Why are
therefore,
you labeling it? Why are you labeling it mass attracting mass? I never use those words, mass. I just said we have a ball, we have another ball.
because this is the only reason you're asking about this Cavendish experiment, because the ballers keep telling you that that's what it proves, and it doesn't. You don't see it in nature.
No, I'm not trying to prove a force for them. I'm trying to disprove there is no force. This is the whole
You
point.
don't need to.
no
Why
worries.
are you
No
going
worries,
in
Spurs.
their presuppositional reason to try to disprove it? That makes no sense.
Yeah, Spurs, we're giving you that. You want to disprove a force. All you've got to do is ask them to show it you. That's it. Oh, right, there's a force, is there? Luke, show me the force, Luke. Oh, right, well, no, I can't actually show it you, or any examples thereof. But here's a man-made device that shows mass attracting mass when I string balls up and get them to attract one another. Well, when do we see a natural phenomena like this? Because before we actually do any science, we need to see it happening in nature, not just in your mechanical device. It's akin to explaining why the driving car drives itself. Why is the autonomous car driving itself? A man made a chip. No. It's driving itself. Let's not worry about the fact that we put it together. Well, let's not worry about why the Cavendish balls are strung up in the first place, because a man strung them up. Yeah, they attract one another. That's what they say. Well, okay. Yeah. You string balls up together and they attract one another, do they? That's interesting. What's that got to do with my natural world that I experience every day? Do I experience balls attracting one another? Does anything attract to anything ever? No. Never. So we've got to suddenly explain their parlour trick. I'm not interested.
And even if you were to bypass the whole man-made issue and think that Cavendish could be a viable experiment somehow, the main problem with the entire setup has always been that they can't properly isolate their independent variable. It's just impossible. The entire setup is based on trying to isolate that independent variable, and it's practically impossible.
Variable for
And
what?
that's why the results are never perfectly consistent. That's
Variable
why
for
it's all
what?
over the place.
What are you trying to cause? You're trying to cause an effect that's created in a device built by man. So way whistling past the graveyard, as QE puts it. No. Step one, observe a phenomena. Oh, right, you don't have one. End of story. Not what's the
Right.
cause. You're already looking at step 3 and what it does, the experiment, and asking what the cause of that is. The experiment's supposed to figure out the cause, not give you an effect.
This is like Brenda saying the iron ore in the ground caused the car to be parked by the road.
Lol. Yeah, I know. But that's why I said, even if you were to bypass that part, then it's just like accepting gravity to be a thing, that it would still not help to keep the gas pressure on the ball. That thing. It's like going into their model and showing that despite that you could presuppose certain aspects, that technically it still won't work out. And I have been confronted with the Cavendish experiment before, like in school, and even then they said, yeah, it's so hard and it's like it's very tough to isolate the independent variable. That's what they literally said. So even if you would accept that it is an experiment, the results are always all over the place, and that kind of dispels the whole issue.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
Any evidence of Earth radius, the R value?
No.
No.
Nope.
Any evidence to the distance to the sun?
Had that. Any evidence that you can
No
have gas
confirmed
pressure?
measured distance.
Any evidence
Well,
you can
that
have
was for Arvin.
gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container? Last but no means least.
No way.
Right, I want to share.
Not even presupposing gravity will help against that.
I want to share my experience on Jose's channel this morning. This morning UK time is late in the night for the Americans. Jose was on quite late. I had a bit of, I woke up early because the sun was up and whatnot, and they were talking about stuff. So I was just listening, and somebody said something about me, and I just said yo, and then they invited me in and whatnot. But basically, when I went in there, I realized that they accuse flat earthers of just denying all the science. And we're the ones that are trying to ask for the science to demonstrate science. We want to see the cause and effect relationship being complied with. We want scientific method to be complied with. And Sean G is one of the morons in there that basically denies everything that you put to him. Literally everything. He denies everything, whether it's scientific method or otherwise. He denies everything, right? And basically, he called me a science denier. And I just thought, I've just realized at this moment that if Sean G is calling me a science denier and there's 4 or 5 other ballers on the panel, there's no way I can respond to that because there's 4 or 5 v1 and majority
Wait,
rule.
I just want to make sure, Riley, this is the same Sean G that denied the definition of superseded after you read it to him and
Yeah.
looked it up and presented to him, and still denied it, right?
Yeah, he denies everything, and no matter what you say to him, he just dilutes. I mean, literally, he said the 8 inches per mile squared is just a simple formula for newbies, notwithstanding the fact that it's the geometric calculation for the first quarter of the Earth, and it works perfectly fine up to about 100 miles. He wanted it to be more maths, please, and it is the maths. That is literally the maths, but he denies it. So I realised that there's no conversation possible with Sean G because he just denies everything. But what I realized is that you can't actually go into Jose's chat as a flat earther and have a conversation because no matter what you say, it's 3, 4, 5, 6 v1. So you're never ever going to get anywhere with them. So for that reason, I'm never going to be able to go back into Jose's chat because they'll never, ever, 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 ever concede anything ever. And I'm like, there's no point. It's a waste of my time. I'd rather be back in bed. So that's what I did. I left, went back to bed, and then presumably they all started laughing. But Jose, from me to you, dude, as a friend, you've got to have people that are intellectually honest enough to accept that scientific method is defined, pseudoscience is defined. We have a mechanism to work stuff out, and it's not okay to claim that it's just my interpretation of scientific method. It is scientific method. We understand what the procedure is. It's not that difficult to do. But they have to deny it at all times because they know they can't prove the Earth turns or that there's gravity or that there's curvature. All the things that we ask for, they know that they can't prove it. And they just deny it. They just literally deny everything. So, Jose, if you want to improve the standard of your Hangouts, you're going to have to implement some controls, which is scientific method is going to have to be one of them. It's defined by the word pseudoscience. So come on, Jose, get your ship under control. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get flat earthers going in there.
Sorry, but Jose doesn't care really about that. He doesn't care about scientific method. He just wants a good show and everybody to chat in the chat and troll and let troll. That's Jose. Sorry, buddy, but that's what it is. Just calling it like I see it.
Yeah.
Well, that's insensitive of you, Chocolate, not caring for the suffering of Jose.
Again, let me go get my tissues and a glass of warm milk for all the ballers who have problems with it. I don't care.
Yeah, I can't even get them to agree what is the
he's going to get quick results in a big crowd in the beginning, but in the end, it's not going to win.
Well, it's like Nathan says, they're just parlor tricks. They're accepting parlor tricks for science, and we're reading to them what causes science and what is science, and they can't handle it because they love the magic of the parlor tricks.
Yeah, I couldn't even get them to have a consensus on what is the definition of pseudoscience when it says it's literally got to be based on scientific method. And they just won't agree to it. And I'm like, well, there's no conversation that we can have if we can't even agree the basic definition of what's fake science compared to what's real science. They just won't have it. So unless that changes, there's just no point in going into Jose's chat as far as I'm concerned. Do you know what, Nathan? We should have that definition of pseudoscience as one of the thumbnails in the background because it needs to come up far more.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Maybe throw in the definition of supersede too.
They're very narrow terms, both pseudoscience and science, so I don't see why not.
And we should put Moose's chat in there as well. You can think of it as a force, but it's not a force, but you can think of it as a force. It's just too good not to put in there.
So, guys.
Yes.
What's up, Eli?
What's up? What's up? So I'm fighting the good fight this morning, and I happen to see posted that there is a court case that pretty much went in favor of the flat earther. And so I was like, well, I would need a way to verify that. I need to. And so then an hour and a half later, the PDF is posted, and then you have the number. You can call the court, and then they'll give you the case number and all of that.
Yeah, Zen Garcia was the defendant as he was being sued for $15,000 because somebody claimed to have proven Earth curvature with two separate examples, independent of one another. The judge ruled against that claim.
That is straight embarrassing for the globe.
They
Curvature
must have
literally
felt
lost in court, guys. I mean, if that doesn't wake you up a little bit, because if curvature
that
was
must have
there, it
shocked.
would just be there.
That must have pretty much shocked him. I think.
I'm
As
sure
soon
it
as he
shocked
heard it,
everybody in the court.
But
We need
I
to-
proved the curvature.
We need to put this down with some context. We've got Greater Sapien that failed to demonstrate he could fly around the South Pole. We've got Sly Sparkane who failed to demonstrate curvature of the Earth using tubes of water. And now we've got this other bloke called Thompson who failed to prove the curvature of the Earth in court. There are three major failings on the ball Earth side, right? Just let that sink in.
Yep. And I just see more to come.
Yeah, legally there's no proof of curvature, guys.
If you guys
Well,
can't
not-
prove in a courtroom that there is there is curvature, then it means there is
That
no
should
curve.
definitely be added into the beginning.
Forget legally, visually, there is no curve.
No,
citing of
legally.
this curvature.
Legally,
No, I'm
there's
just-
no confirmed proof of curvature.
No, I know that, Arwin. I'm not saying that's not valid. I'm saying visually, there is no proof of Earth curvature.
We already have that covered. We ask every day, first question, any proof of Earth curve? Well, clearly not, by any standards so far, including legal.
Not optically, not physically, not geometrically, and not legally.
You just took it out of my mouth, Arwin.
And let's be honest, that's always been my position, that you guys would never be able to prove your position in court. Yeah, you might sit there and circle jerk in Jose's chat and sit there with a populist consensus. But I don't mean that, I don't make it a ball. If you can't prove it, then it ain't a ball, right? And you guys you're not passing the test, are you? You're demonstrating by failing that Greater Sapien couldn't fly around the bottom. You're demonstrating by failing that Sly couldn't measure the curvature of the Earth using tubes. And you're demonstrating by failure that some bloke with bridges and satellites and stuff couldn't prove that the Earth were curved either. Come on, it's your claim to prove.
Yeah, that's a two-edged sword because there's judgments handed down by biased judges that go against logic as well. So watch them come out with another one saying that, oh, it is a globe. So
Yeah, but the problem is curvature isn't a biased thing. It's an actual thing that's supposed to be where it is. So at this point, at this stage of the game, we shouldn't have curvature being proven to us. It should just be there, and it's not. This is the reason we're all here, because it's not there.
that's exactly right. So when they play this
Well,
game
10th
against
man
us,
is
we'll
right.
just let's go out and let's see this curvature that this judge says it exists, and no one's going to be able to see it.
Well, they got George Musa saying it's not a force. So it's like, forget George Musa, whatever he said, you guys don't understand. Then they have Neil deGrasse Tyson that we literally see them throw under the bus nowadays. Now they're going to throw the
Now they're going to throw what? Now they're going to throw what?
they're going to throw the legal system.
Right. Yeah, you've got to decry the legal system now as well, right? What do the judges know about standards of evidence?
Right, exactly.
What do those judges know about evidence? They don't know anything. We know better because we all agree.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That is
Pretty sad. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Ball busters on Saturday. What's the topic?
Right, just unmuting everyone on Discord. They all already were. They're just not very chatty, apart from Elijah.
Do we have a ball busters for Saturday, and what would be the topic?
I don't know. I'll have to let you know.
I might find out on Sunday, depending when this show goes out.
Right, this show goes out on Saturday. 11 o'clock.
I got an idea.
Go on, Paul.
I got an idea. The difference between natural and man-made causes. That might be a good one.
I don't understand. Is that a preamble, or is that your example?
No, I'm just saying that's what you should do on ball busters. Do the difference between natural and man-made causes. How can you tell the difference?
Oh, that doesn't need a ball busters episode. If a man makes it, then it's man-made. If you observe it in nature, then it's natural. That's really not that complicated.
I know, but oh, I understand, but Spurs Schemo doesn't seem to get it.
See this thing on screen, this kaleidoscope? If you were to ask me, what causes that? Do you know what I'd say? Say a man made it.
Man put the crystal in the kaleidoscope.
Right, yeah. Someone manufactured it to do that. That's what I'd say. But I could say, no, we're clearly seeing the effect of, I don't know, let's make something up, the polarization of blah, 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 and that's because of unicorn farts. So, obviously, there's the effect inside the lens. Unicorn farts have proved it, because I presuppose that experiment proves it. And there's the effect. It's there in the lens. Are you going to deny the effect? Well, what's the cause of the effect? That's what Spurs would say. What's the cause of this? Well, it was put together by a man to do that. No, it's still creating an effect, though. Yeah, creating an effect. If it wasn't for the man putting it together, that effect wouldn't be created, would it? We're not interested in man-made effects, natural phenomena.
I think I knew what he was trying to say, though. And I was going to jump in, but it never got there. But it's like I'm thinking to myself, if I go out and start my truck up, and it normally runs fine, then I go out and start it up, and it starts to not run fine. It starts to sputter, and not run efficiently enough. Now there could be a natural cause, or there could be a unnatural, man-made cause. The natural cause could be a cat got in, or something got into my intake system and clogged up the intake. So that's probably what's causing it not to run good, or something that man-made broke or me driving it so much caused something to break in it. So now it's not running good. So now you could get into determining which one of those, that one's a natural cause and one's a man-made cause. So I think that's kind of where he's starting to he's muddying the waters a little bit. I think that's what he's trying to do. So I mean, that to me, to say that there's a natural cause for the balls to be attracted, you'd have to remove all possibility of any man-made event in that to cause, just to account for that, which means all the variables. And I think that's what he wasn't getting in my mind.
Maybe. I just see it as step 3. Not looking for the cause of step 3. Step 3 is the thing you use to figure out cause.
Right.
Yeah, the experiment isn't where you derive your cause from. It's what you use to figure it out.
Oh, I agree.
Best part is if we actually saw mass attracting mass in nature, we wouldn't be having this discussion. It would just happen, just like curvature, just like rotation. All these things would just happen. The globe would not need defending. It would just be a spinning globe. That's it.
Exactly. We get
And
away
if we
with
saw
saying...
it happening,
Go on, Paul.
I was going to say, if we saw it happening, wouldn't that be a law then, though? It'd be just something the way it is. Like,
Correct.
why does relative density work the way it does? It's just a law. It's just the way it is. We wouldn't try to attribute a cause to it. It would just know that that's the way it is.
Right. Yeah, you need to start conjuring up causes if you've got something that doesn't really exist in the first instance. We can get away with saying the Earth is obviously and observably flat. That Dean guy was a great example, which is why I mirrored it recently. That Dean guy's got a building, photograph thereof, concrete noun. We just go building. Literally no explanation required on the side of flat Earth. Because the Earth is obviously and observably flat, it requires no apologies or explanations. There it is. Have a look at it. Now the globe Earth needs lots of mathematics, lots of geometric presuppositions. That's what it needs. To hijack perspective, that's what it needs. But if it was a globe, the Earth would be obviously and observably curving. From every vantage point, always. It would be blatantly obvious. It's not, because it isn't.
Yep. Concealment rate is linear over distance. There's no signs of curvature geometry in any aspect.
Yeah, few presuppositions here. Shout out to Tina Baker for the super chat. Can't get enough of Flat Earth debate. Have a great day, guys. Thank you very much indeed for your support, Tina Baker and husband. Really appreciate it.
Wasn't that what John was saying with the Lake Pontchartrain shoreline and sea level? So they're going to have to change the terminology to sea curve instead of sea level, because if it's sea level and it's 3 feet on either side, it's flat.
Yeah, the measurements, the topography, the way we observe it, it's all flat. It is, as stated, obviously and observably flat. That is what we are presented with, agreed on both sides, including by heliocentric priests like Neil deGrasse Tyson. That stuff is flat, right? Yeah, well, that's what he's talking about. Obviously and observably not a sphere.
I love the fact that he doesn't even just say you can't see curvature like normally. He emphasizes it with you can't see the curvature of the Earth from 2 millimeters above this beach ball. Like he's emphasizing that you cannot see curvature from that height. Doesn't matter if he thinks it's a ball or not. But yeah, we have ballers telling us we can see curvature at 5 miles. Get a grip, guys.
Yeah, you're supposed to be able to. You're supposed to be able to. And in that regard, the doublespeak from the heliocentric priest is wrong. You should be able to measure curvature. It should be there. It should be obviously and observably curved. Hey, Ranty. It just isn't.
Is Tony gone?
He's vanished. I sent him a Skype message saying, "Are you okay?" He just vanished.
Hey, Chocolate. He also threw all the people using the Felix Baumgartner shots to prove a globe under the bus.
Yeah, they've got to take on our arguments. It's 6 of one and a half dozen of the other. You come into, Flat Earth on the websites at least, and you'll come straight to Flat Earth Society talking about hurtling upwards at 9.8 meters per second squared and water spilling off the edge. In other words, you've got to control the narrative on this side with enough nonsense, but you've also got to spin enough of reality into the heliocentric nonsense. So the fact that it presents itself as flat, well, you've just got to disclaim that, like, yeah, you idiots, of course it looks flat. Well, because then people go, yeah, that's obvious. Of course a sphere would look flat. It's just a way of programming people with double talk.
He also kind of threw Aristophanes under the bus too when he said that Aristophanes' little experiment or whatever was able to be replicated on a flat model as well as the globe. So that doesn't prove anything.
Yeah, but he's taking on... Wouldn't you say that what he's parroting at the moment, Neil deGrasse Tyson, that is, it's just like old 2015 style flat earth arguments that don't necessarily go against their rhetoric. It's just part of the doublespeak. So in the case of him saying, well, yeah, it doesn't necessarily work that sticks in the shadows give you a 93 million mile sun. It works on either. It just gives you a different measurement. It depends on one thing, right? Presupposing R. So he's admitting that so that when people come across these arguments, which are going to be absolutely rife now, they've been around since 2015, they'll have heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say it and they'll side with him, just naturally. So long as they've heard the argument put forth by Neil deGrasse Tyson, they're not going to suddenly realise how much credence it has when we make that argument. So it's clever, but you've got to understand, we're not up against, in that regard, the overriding people who punt this lie. the narrative are going to be people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, who have got a much more structured agenda.
They're just basically following a playbook.
Yeah.
Antonio was live last night. He wants to fight Tony for some reason.
Can we not talk about drama?
Oh no, I think it's quite relevant. You know, I mean, he's challenged him to a fight, and you know, yeah.
Who?
Sleeping Warrior.
But who?
Antonio, the guy that's about 9 stone wet through that ran away from a fight with Dell. When he now he's challenging Sleeping Warrior, and yeah, I just thought I'd bring it to his attention in case he didn't actually know about that.
Not even here. You're just desperate to spread gossip.
Well,
give it a break. Seriously.
In the chat already, you know, they're already all over this. You know, they know.
Fine, but here I'm not interested.
Let's move on.
That someone in
I don't
Discord
know.
piping up?
If that would happen, Anthony would just. Anthony would just spit on
curiosity.
him.
What is the reasoning behind this? Is it like the whole conspiracy casting where he has no argument, or is this something else?
I don't know. I'm now visualizing Riley like, okay, I'll do it. And just being kind of like, yeah, I don't really want to. And then he'll just push over Antonio and sit on him. Like, okay, are you going to stop now? This nonsense, please, Antonio?
It's Antonio just desperate for attention. That's all it is. It's why he even made a video in the first place. He made a video about my video explaining why Patricia had left, you know, saying to people, look, this is what I've heard first time from Patricia, to stop any gossip. This is why she's left. And that was it, essentially, you know, highlighting the trolling that's going on. Antonio didn't need to even do a response video, to be fair about it. You know, that wasn't the point. But of course, you know, he likes the limelight. He wants all the attention to be back on himself, and he used it as another opportunity to have a go at Patricia. And whilst he was at it, he also called out Sleeping Warrior and wanted to fight him. So, you know, he didn't do it just once. He did it about 3 or 4 times. So there we go.
All right.
Drama.
And he attacked Roxanne. I don't even understand why.
God. Hello, Alan.
Hello, how you doing, boys? Have you missed me?
Yes, at this moment, please save us from this nonsense.
Back from the dead. Look at you. What's up, Alan?
Listen, I'll fight you all.
Jolly good.
Oh, yeah? You did like 20 push-ups while you were away?
No, I've been camped out in the Dordogne, putting on weight for a film part.
Oh, really? What film?
I'm just waiting for the part to appear. I just seem to be putting on weight.
It's just a way of saying he's getting fatter. Just cut back on the cakes, Alan. You'll be fine.
Thank you, Nathan. Congratulations on the new baby.
Thank you very much. She's a sleeper. Elated, mate. Elated.
Yes, good to know the boys are working.
Boys?
Do you remember those?
The 2 spheres between your leg, Nathan.
I don't know what you're talking about. Fill me in, Ranty or Alan.
The 2 spheres between your leg.
Oh, those boys. Yeah, they're working. Definitely.
So, Alan. Alan, yeah?
Hi.
What did you get 3 months for then?
3 months?
Yeah, that's about how long you've been gone.
I've just stopped off for a short break and then returning on Sunday.
Okay. So you weren't sent down then?
Why would it be sent down? I've never broken the law in my life.
Just laughing.
How are you keeping anyway? How's the new house?
New house is fine, thanks. It's big, plenty of room.
Yeah, you said 5 bedrooms, didn't you?
4.
Oh, magic! Did you get your drone?
Not as yet. No. I'm getting the upgraded one. I put the fund out for the basic drone, but then David Weiss got in touch with me and said, why don't you go for the upgraded version, which includes infrared, etc. So it's like another 400 quid or something. So I was like, okay, then well, I'll put the money towards that myself, and I'll get that, and I have to order it from the US. So.
So you'll be giving Mr. Osman a run for his money, hey?
Who knows? Who knows? Hopefully, I'll have it in about 2.5 weeks. That's the plan.
Fantastic. More globe proofing coming.
So far,
What are you eating?
a jumbo sausage.
There hasn't been any globe proof coming in the first instance. What do you mean more?
Ranty's always proving the globe, isn't he? He's fantastic.
No, recently Tim Osman himself listed a whole massive list of things that they immediately discount as being the cause of what they claim is Earth curve, and just call it Earth curve. So you have a overriding cause that ignores all others, and in the face of a great big long list of things that you haven't ruled out, you just call it Earth curve. So no, begging the question and assuming that anything that you see in the distant frame of your camera, sorry, there's someone starting up a motorbike out my window, is actually Earth curve, because it isn't. You'd have to rule out all of those other things that it could possibly be, as opposed to just laugh at them and just decide to assert your fundy presupposition of Earth curve.
What have I missed? Have I missed anything?
Quite a lot.
What's happened? What's happened in FE?
Nathan, I think I found Earth curvature. If you're looking for it,
it's
Townley's Bridge. People were talking about it. I don't know, for about 1.5 years about it. So, but Timmy came across. I came across with Timmy, I believe, 3 weeks ago, and just shows it in front of my face with the Stanley Bridge. So I looked at it and everything. And I put the picture in Discord and also in the Hangout. If you look at it, or if Ranty looks at it, let me know. I put 2 circle markers on that bridge. Let me know if you see that curvature there, if it makes sense.
I don't see any image in the side chat.
Not in the side chat, in the Google back chat Hangout.
Anyway, I'll have £20 on Sleeping Warrior to win round 2.
So, what have you missed? Did you catch George Musa?
I haven't seen anything. I've had no internet and just a basic Nokia 3110 phone.
Fair enough. So, Anthony and Fight the Flat Earth got into a discussion about gravity, and Anthony was insistent, based on a reference from this chap, this astrophysicist called George Musa, that gravity is not a force. So to debunk that assertion, Fight the Flat Earth got the very guy, George Musa, astrophysicist, to come on his show and make it really clear by statement: gravity is not a force.
It's an apparent force. You can think of it as a force.
You can think of it as a force. I like to think of it as roast chicken.
With Yorkshire puddings and potatoes.
Indeed, yeah. I just make shit up about it. Just decide to think about it whatever I like, really. Unicorn farts, 3-tone domes, roast chicken, you name it. You can think of it as whatever you like, really. The reason you can think of it as whatever you like is because what it actually is the bending of a conceptual medium known as space-time. Now, we don't actually experience space-time, it's just a mathematical reification. It doesn't really exist. There is nothing to bend. But that's what they say it is. So, yeah, if you want to claim that a bending of a conceptual medium gives rise to a non-force, then, you're welcome to think that.
An uneven force. Due to the distribution of mass, perhaps?
What's mass?
It's a thing the Catholics do.
Oh, right. Yes, due to the distribution of mass. Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, I've lost none of my wit. That's fantastic.
Now you look stupid again.
Hi, Owen. How's your show going?
Good. Fine.
You're mostly drinking tea?
Yep.
How's your funding going?
Could be better. Had some issues. The income from Google explained it. So yeah, could do better, but still going, and yeah, developments keep on going.
How about the rectangular looping map? That's still
Just before you get on to rectangle.
It's what it is.
Hold on.
Still the same.
What show would that be, Arwin?
The Flat Earth Early Bird Show. 2 p.m. Amsterdam time every day.
And with that, I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who've tuned in the Nathan Oakley live stream. If you are watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. A massive, enormous thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this debate possible. As I say, stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Suspicions. So going to work towards that, and at the same time, yeah, just figuring out relative density more. So I got a lot of progress in that now. Figured out the causes of the displacement and the pressure through relative density, and yeah, everything is just progressing as normal.
everything sounds tickety-boo in FE. What's happened to Patricia then?
She was bullied, so she left.
What a shame.
Yeah.
So, Alan, this is the first time I'm meeting you. Are you a Glober or Flat Earther?
I'm from Leeds.
Well, lead on then.
Who are you?
I'm from my mother.
Any proof?
I'm talking to you.
It's an antecedent.
Show me the necessary antecedent.
He's got the umbilical cord in a little envelope.
Fundamentalist. You still shouting that at people, Nathan?
What, calling them fundamentalist religious zealots? No, quite often, like you, they won't declare their fundamentalist religious belief when asked.
I believe I'm the necessary antecedent.
But for what? You
Everything.
talking? Yeah, you are. You're right.
FE losing a bit of power, a bit of push, not much energy around.
No, not at all. It's actually
Not
going great.
much glow proof around. That's why it's quiet.
There's a court case that went well.
Mm-hmm.
Alan wouldn't know about that. He's been away.
Court case?
Yeah, the Globe took Flat Earth to court and lost.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, laugh it up.
Who's got that kind of time?
It is pretty funny, right, Alan?
It is. I would have loved to hear the opening statement.
The opening statement was, we the Globe believe we have proof of curvature. That was the opening statement. And the end result was, no, you've not satisfied this court that you have any proof at all of curvature, case dismissed.
So my picture of evidence, Ranty, you haven't seen my evidence?
Oh, are you kidding me? Soundless shit again. You don't understand perspective, do you? I mean, seriously, what you're looking at there at the very, very end is probably around about 4 miles of bridge in that very last view where it appears to curve, and that's where it's all happening, mate. That's where it's all appearing to drop, because you're getting all that compression at the very end.
But
It's just down to perspective. It's all a perspective thing.
If it is perspective, but what about the other side of the picture, the bridge itself?
Who's asking this question? Sorry, hold on, Ranty.
What?
Who's
The
asking
same
this?
applies to the bridge.
Who's asking?
I mean,
who's having physics? Physics. Yes. So, what we get charged with is explain this. It's like, is this your claim, or are you trying to explain something that's been explained to you and the claim has been made by someone else? So, in other words, what's the claim being made?
Well, the claim is that what Ranty is saying, that there is somewhat there's a curve in the end, and And is he saying, is it due to compression? I'm not sure. It's the last. I don't know what that curve is in that end. But what I found is on the bridge itself, the drawbridge, I found also a curve there too. So I'm not sure if it is the same exact description where it's all explaining of this curvature, but I find it to be also an anomaly too.
Well, there's two things. Are you presupposing that it's curvature, or are you saying the effect is being caused by curvature?
Well, I'm gearing more caused based on compression, more with the air.
No, fair enough. That's your assertion, but this isn't your imagery, is it?
No, it's actually Soundly's 24/7.
And what's his claim is the cause of what's in that image?
Well, I haven't heard it from Soundly, but I'm hearing from everybody else's claim, and it seems like the impression is actually this is coming from Timmy. Timmy, actually, I haven't seen this photo for I've heard about it for a year and a half till I actually had an engagement with Timmy 2 or 3 weeks ago. He put it in front of my face, so I actually had to look at it. So I found some kind of inconsistencies with the photo based on what they're saying and what they're talking about. So my opinion is just what Ranky's talking about. It's due to compression. Yeah.
Okay. So you're asserting a cause for a piece of imagery that someone else is making a claim about. Now, what I'm trying to say is you don't need to do that because it's not your claim. But the only way recently, like Tim did yesterday, he was a bit too overt about it because it became obvious what was happening. They've given up on making their assertion. They've given up on saying what their cause is because we'll hold them to task on it. So instead, they challenge us to give an explanation for their imagery with no claim attached. Well, you don't have to.
Okay, I was just confronted with this type of imagery, and
sure,
and it seemed to be my own opinion.
I appreciate that. What I'm going to now do, unless I get rumpused, which is highly likely, is give you the tools that you need when that happens, which is to say, what is your claim? Like I've just done with you, and you danced around it for 2 or 3 minutes, no offence, but that's what you did, because that's a difficult question to answer. You've got an image, and Ranty's bold enough to have done this, but it means that he comes under scrutiny for it, doesn't it? He makes a claim about what's happening, claiming cause, when we've got an empirical method for figuring out cause, but Ranty's bold enough to do that. Well, if they're presenting this imagery, you've got to make them make a claim. Well, what does this prove? What is your claim? Well, the claim is the bridge is curving. Oh, right, what's causing that? Well, it's caused by the Earth being curved. Excellent. So we've established your claim of cause. And when we've got a claim of cause in the natural world, we can establish what the cause actually is, can't we?
Listen, am I presenting, Nate?
You're not, but you can be.
Yeah, could you put me on? Because this is the imaging question and it's retarded. And I'll tell you for why. Right, they want us to focus on this part at the very end, yeah? This drop-off where you've clearly got this inferior mirage and murky stuff happening there. It's a smudge. But look at this. Look at this bridge. Look at this bridge, right? Do you think that's a real image of that bridge and how it looks in reality? Do you think that is how that bridge looks in reality?
It is how it looks in reality. This is a photograph.
It's an almost vertical up and almost vertical down. It's not like that at all. It's a very gradual bridge.
No, I appreciate that.
Because of the nature of the camera and the lens and how it's been taken and the imagery and the angle, it's making it look as if it's a roller coaster.
Right.
Well, that's where I'm seeing the cars because it's vertical up and vertical down. So what I'm stating with your description, the physics follows the same with the movement of these vehicles, where we can see these two drawbridges where there's an actual car on top of the drawbridge.
Yeah, it's like it's just ready to go whoosh, straight down. It's like what's it called when we was kids? Extra sketch or something? No,
Helter Skelter.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Extra sketch.
Or whatever it was called.
Extra sketch.
Yeah, Helter Skelter, whatever. Yeah, look at it. Look at it. That isn't how the bridge looks. And I'll give you an example. Look, if you look at this, this is the reason why. So I've took an image of these lampposts, and it's just the same. You know, in this particular, from this lamppost to this lamppost, we've got a lot of pixels, but to the next lamppost, it's the same distance. To the next lamppost, it's the same distance. But look how they're starting to get closer together. And then by the time you get to the very end ones down at the bottom here, they're all bunched up together, right? They're all overlapping one another. And what's happening is this effect, if I open it up in Paint and let's just put a line in, what will happen is these end ones here, because they're all bunched together and they all appear to be the same, it will drop at the end. It will be lower than these ones here, and I'll prove that right now. It really is just a function of viewing. That's it. So put a line in there, match it up to the first one. There we go. So matched up, and can you see how these drop off at the end? It's just because they're all bunching up together at the same at the same part. You're getting 6 in one very small area. The last one's going to drop off. It's going to look a lot smaller.
Ranty,
I'm maybe not explaining it as perfectly as I could, but this is the effect. It seems to drop down because these are all being bunched up together. So the last one is obviously substantially lower as it gets lower and lower, but you're seeing them all close together like so. So it's drawing your eye to the last one. So because your eye is being drawn to the last one, you're looking at it as a straight line here and not taking into account this, all the distance between there and there is probably the same distance between this and that one there. That's the same distance between them there and that there, but it's just making it appear to drop.
Ranty, can you please go back to the picture of the bridge? I got something to ask you.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this, and the first thing, other than the 2 roller coaster parts, is the water on the right side of the bridge looks different than the water on the left side of the bridge.
Yeah,
the shoreline.
Yeah, I can get you with that.
And I've also discussed from another channel.
What is going on there? Why is there a bulge? Why is there a bulge on the left side and not a bulge on the right side? I'm talking about the water.
Yeah, I can't answer that from this particular.
Well, something's wrong there.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is just all it's doing here. See how many of these little huts? We're going to call them little huts, right? So it's just like looking at the lamppost. Lamppost 1, lamppost 2, lamppost 3. By the time that you get to the end, you've got all these bunched together, maybe 10 of them. But because your eye's drawn, trying to look at it in a straight line without factoring in that it's, all these being put in one position, that's where you're getting your drop. And then you get this inferior mirage, it's misty. Look how misty it is. Come on, guys.
Okay, Randy, also, my second question is that how many miles of this bridge is in view here, do you think?
Oh, maybe only about 3. But don't forget, this is at the very, very, very end of the bridge where he filmed it from the top of a building or from a hotel room that's probably about 20 stories high, I think. And what he's done is he's looking at the very other shoreline. This is the very end on the other shoreline. So he's zooming in and zooming in and zooming in. And I think this is a screenshot from this video. And the whole bridge looks flat the whole way as he's zooming in. It's flat, 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 flat. And this is like mile 19 or something. And you get this little drop off at the end.
So if this was if this was a actual proof of a curve, this should be seen anywhere in the world with other objects, but we never see this.
True. It's just, all it is a trick of the eye. It's like these lampposts. It's just a trick of the eye. That's how it works.
No, it looks like I think he doctored up the picture. It just doesn't look right.
No,
the water doesn't look right.
It's a real image. I've seen the video. It's real.
Well, something's wrong with the water.
Well, it's what happens when you film over water. But it's very, very rare that you get a very long bridge like this to have this effect happen at the very end. This is where
I'm talking about the water on the left is reminiscent of you talking about a bulge, like a tidal bulge. Look at the water on the right, it's much lower. How can all that water be that much higher on the left?
I don't know. Maybe it's just a function of the camera, how the camera works.
If I saw this everywhere in the world with every object made, then I would believe in the curve, but I never see this.
Yeah, it's funny how Soundly is the only person credited with actually catching actual curvature, which is funny. Just a joke.
The only thing I would say is that if you're going to claim that that's Earth curve at the end, right? You've got to look at this bridge and say, is that how this bridge appears in reality? Once you realise and you concede that this is not how this bridge appears in reality, it's nothing like it, it's completely warped and out of shape, then you realise that there's an explanation in this part here too, because you can't have this and not have that. You know, once you concede that this isn't a picture of reality, this isn't reality. You know, that bridge is not like that, which also means that
reality,
part... Sorry?
Oh, of reality. It is reality.
That bridge does not look like that.
I wonder how this
Obviously,
picture
it looks
would look
like that from that angle, doesn't it?
From this angle, exactly. From this angle, you've got it nailed on, spot on. Well done, mate. Congratulations.
Hold on.
I saved your meme, Don.
No, hold on. If it's reality, when Ranty shows Shark Boat, is that reality?
Shark Boat? What's that?
Yeah, a boat that looks like it's opening and closing its mouth like a shark. Is that reality?
Oh, like a mirage.
Sorry. Suddenly we've got mirage being used to define this. So this doesn't include that effect. Then hold on.
I don't know what you mean by
Hold on. Why is it when I ask you about Shark Boat, immediately you say mirage, but when you look at this is just reality, no accounting for mirage? I don't understand that.
Oh, that wasn't my mirage. Isn't my explanation. I was asking if it has mirage involved.
The word mirage.
You call it the Shark Boat?
Yeah. That's my point.
Is that why you?
Yeah, that's my point, Dawn. When it comes to my example of a boat that looks like a shark, suddenly we need to go into explanations with mirages. But when there's this on screen, you're like, this is just reality. Oh, right. That's interesting that when I have an example, suddenly we need to explain it with mirages. When you have an example, it's just your fundy belief in Earth curve. It is what it is.
No,
looks like it is.
Some images show, something that isn't actually in reality. It's just the effect of what.
Oh, like this then. Like this.
Reality.
Like this. Like this.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So not reality then. Just looks like something that it's not.
But we haven't really explained, the effects or the phenomenon.
Oh, can you explain it? What's causing that? That's what I asked earlier. What's causing that? No worries, Dawn. What's causing that effect?
Which effect?
The effect on screen. The effect of this curvy bridge.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not actually looking at the exact image. I think it was in Discord a little while ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking, Dawn. That's what I'm asking. Yeah, I'm asking whether or not you've looked at the image, as opposed to an answer to what's causing the effect. Yeah, that's what I'm asking, whether or not you've looked at it. That's the end of this conversation then. You've looked at it. Great. Let's shut up and move on.
It's just, boats don't have mouths that open, but that bridge does have humps. That was the difference.
What's causing that? Why does it have that hump? What's the cause of that?
They built a hump there so that the boats can go through.
They built a hump
those two big humps that you were talking about a minute
Is that
ago.
how they look? Do you want me to bring up drone footage of how flat almost these bridges are in reality? They just look like this from this angle.
Please do, Ranty.
I get your point. They look steeper in Sally's photo than some other angles.
So is that a function of perspective?
Oh.
Is that a function of perspective? From this perspective, this bridge looks like this, even though it isn't the case, yeah? Would you agree with that?
I guess, yeah, I'm okay with that language, yeah.
Okay. And what about this at the end? Do you think that we can apply the same logic to that, saying as it's the same image? The reason this looks like this could be something to do with the reason this bridge looks like this? A function of perspective.
The bit that curves into the distance.
A function of perspective?
I think the fact that the humps look steeper might be the same effect of the angle, that allows Sally to see the bridge curving into the distance.
Yeah, because do you see how this backside drops off really quickly? And then this drops off really quickly.
I need to see the image again in Discord.
Just the soundly bridge image. It's like the most discussed image in... I don't know what his problem is.
Image of this in a horizontal view?
I'm just not sure exactly what Randy was referring to which bits
The
of
bridge.
image?
It's like the one image. Is it like the same shitty image that he uses about 1,000 times? Yeah, you're laughing
I
because
think-
we all know damn well what the image is.
Okay, that's it. I think that is showing curvature. I believe it is because of the
Oh,
angle.
so
that
it's
got.
caused by curvature. So you are going to assert a cause. Curvature.
But for those
Can I
two
respond
humps,
Oh,
for
no,
a
hold
second?
on, hold on.
They look steeper.
Hold on.
Can
Yeah,
I respond
curve.
for a second?
Yeah, Arwen, because I've got him to the point I need. So maybe take over and just destroy my point. That's a good point to come in when I've got him to actually say the cause that I've asked 5 times. Yeah, take over, Arwen. I'll go on mute.
I'd like to talk to Owen.
Yeah, he did actually. He was leading him up to the point of him conceding that this was a proof of curvature.
Right.
And then Nathan was just
Yeah,
going to go,
right. If you're paying attention. Otherwise, you're just waiting for your turn to speak. So, you're asserting the cause is Earth curve. And how have you validated that cause, Dawn?
I don't know if it's an assertion. I just believe that that bridge is curved due to the Earth, and that's what we're seeing when sound looks down the length of it.
Haven't you watched the show before? Fundy beliefs aren't what we're interested in. We're interested in validation.
Well, I'm not a photographer or an experimenter, so
yeah,
I'm
you're
not
just a
gonna
fundy.
validate.
Yeah, we know. You're just a fundy with a belief. So all you've got is your belief. Like I give a shit what you believe the cause is.
Have you validated that the bridge isn't curved?
Not my claim.
Or are you-
Your claim. Sorry. You've just said your belief is it's Earth curve. Now you're asking me like I give a shit. I haven't made a claim about this shit. You have.
So you got a funny belief about the bridge.
I haven't made a claim about it. You just claimed it was Earth curve. Sorry. Excuse me. Yeah. Dawn. Yeah, you've made a claim. Now you can try and run away from it, obfuscate it, you little fundy. You've made your fundy belief known. I'm not making any. Dawn. Yeah, we've got you there eventually. Now you can wriggle and worm all you bloody like. We've established your fundy belief, which you make it clear is your belief. Now I'm going to make it clear to you while you rumpus the shit out of the point, like Arwen did a moment ago. Yeah? Your fundy beliefs don't fly here, Dawn. We're interested in validity being given to claims. So shut your stupid fundy mouth with your stupid fundy beliefs. We're not interested in your... Why is he talking over me? I listened with you obfuscating my questions about what's causing it. We eventually got you there. And now you can't shut up. Yeah, Dawn, I'll say it again without you talking over me, probably be interrupted, later accused of muting you while you talk all over me. Yeah, you little prick. Yeah, you've got a fundy belief in this Earth curve shit, mate, and you've got no validity being given to your fundy claim. So, do we give two shits about what you believe, Dawn? No, not in the slightest. If you've got some validity to offer to your claim, then we'll listen. Till then, pipe down, you little fundy, with your beliefs. Not interested. Clear?
Owen, go ahead.
I'm not going to call you names.
Can I, please?
Not right now.
Sorry, not a name. Not until we finish this discourse, Arwen. No, I'm not calling you a name. You told us it was your belief, didn't you, Dawn?
You keep saying fundy, really.
Yeah,
like,
fundamentalist. Yeah, it's Earth curve or nothing. It's a fun. Yeah, now you're doing it again, aren't you, Dawn? You triggered little shit. You won't let me respond because you're triggered about your fundamentalist.
Yeah,
there he goes again. Hey, assholes! No mute button being used. Just pricks who talk all over me. As always, they don't like their fundy belief being pointed out to them, so they rumpus the living shit out of me. You're talking all over me, Dawn. Yeah, you've said, I don't like being called names. No, it's a description of what you are, my friend. Now, you don't have to like this, and you'll talk all over it every time I describe it, like you're doing now, because you don't like your fundamentalist belief being challenged, and you don't like it being pointed out that you're a fundamentalist. You've just made that clear. I don't like being called names. Not a name, a description of what you are. You have a fundamentalist religious belief in Earth curve, and every time that's pointed out, you'll talk, which is what you've just done again. There hasn't been a single time that I've got to the end of this statement without you interrupting, because you're a bloody fundy with a religious belief and you don't like it being pointed out to you. That's why you keep interrupting. No mute, just you shutting me down, censoring reality, aren't you, Dawn? The reality being that you are a fundy.
What are your beliefs about the bridge?
I haven't expressed any views. I haven't made a claim. You have, you fundy. Here, we're back to this. We're back to this, are we, you stupid straw man using asshole?
What do you believe about the bridge?
I haven't offered any beliefs. I'm not a fundy. Excuse me, I'm answering you. You just won't shut up. I'm answering you, but you just won't shut up. You want to answer my question for me, do you, Dawn? You're going to answer a question that you've asked me? Yeah? Fundy. You got my answer as well as the question, have you? Yeah, Fundy? You're going to keep talking for me? Yeah, you can't shut your mouth. You've asked me, what's my belief about it? I don't have any, Dawn. Didn't make any claims. You did, you Fundy.
Don't have any beliefs about the bridge.
Apparently, you actually pull it out of him, really.
Yeah, damn right. I drag their beliefs out of them because they don't like to admit to their fundy religious beliefs about this shit. But I'll drag them out there and then pull them around by their short hairs while they rumpus me and claim I'm muting them all the time, when in fact, I'm pointing out that they're fundies. Like now with Dawn. He expressed his belief, made it clear it was belief, and he had no validity to his claim. But then he moaned when he got called, quote, a name. Not a name, dickhead. A description. Dickhead, that's a name. Dickhead, that's a name. Oi, dickhead. I'm calling you a dickhead because you keep talking over me every single time I talk. You talk because you're a dickhead. And an asshole. Those are names. Fundamentalist religious zealot. That's what you are, Dawn. That's a description of what you are. A fundy with a belief in Earth curve and nothing else. It's only Earth curve.
Well, you're a psychopath. So
can I please make a point now, please?
New ad hom. Now I'm a psychopath. No, I've just won. Yeah. You lost. I won. Now you're calling me names.
Really, really badly.
No, I won. You lost. You keep talking over me. And when I stop you and point out that I don't need to mute you, I'm the one being muted. Yeah, every time this happens, I'll just point it out. Typically, I'd say things like, I'll shut you up. Then I carry on because that typically shuts people up. Case proven.
About you. She says
right.
Nathan.
So if I may address the picture, please,
go ahead,
Don.
Sorry
I wanted your attention. Now
yes, sorry, Arwin. Go ahead.
So it's going to be hard.
Yes,
but if you actually look at the picture, Ranty has been presenting now for half an hour, I think. You look at that the apparent geometry of the signs, as it were, to the left of the bridge, that then go into this apparent curve, right? So if you just look at that, it's the widest, those white dots basically. Yeah, you would like get a feel for some kind of apparent curvature. But if you then look really carefully as to that apparent curve, where it is pointing at, right? So that where it's pointing at, it's basically going over the horizon, right? That is the suggestion that it would give you. But then if you look right next to it, you're going to see this watery horizon that moves all the way to the right, that is above it, behind it. So how does that make any kind of geometrical sense that would be going over the curve while the water line is further down the distance, above it?
And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who've tuned in on the Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff. And of course, a massive thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this debate possible. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!